talk to you about this amazing journey of the Braintree PM team. This is a journey of over 2 years, and so it's a long one. It's a story of evolution and transformation. And like every story, this has a beginning. The story starts for me in 2016, September of 2016, when, just like all of you in the audience, I was right here, a PM, aspiring to be a badass product leader one day. I vividly remember scrambling to get to the conference area to attend Deb's keynote. Earlier that year, I'd had a very big performance conversation with my manager. And like any empowered professional here, I went to him and said, I want to be the head of product someday, whether it is at Braintree or somewhere else, and I need your help to get me there. He said, Well, my theory is, when any statement begins with it does not bode well. So he said, I think you could definitely get there. You're about 3 or 4 years away from that role. In roles like this, it's not about skill. It's about leadership persona and brand. I was plagued with questions. What does that even mean? Did I have what it takes to be a leader? Is it about networking? Is it about personality? Or is it about sheer physical presence that comes with an impressive frame? Because this wasn't going to change. So these were very big questions on my mind, and I had tried a lot of things that year. I had a coach who was giving me great advice. I found allies who were advocating my work. I was working on finding my voice. But I felt like there was this really vital piece that was missing. I just didn't believe. But little did I know, in the moments that followed, my answer would be right there. Deb said, you are exactly what a leader looks like. I felt like she was talking to me. In that moment, I knew I'm exactly and already the product leader I want to be. I have a unique leadership brand, and that is mine. I was going to take charge, and I was going to create an impact. As I returned to work, I found myself walking taller, really owning the space around me, leading the change. Come October, my manager turns to me and says, I don't know what is it that you're doing, but you're on fire. Come November, he said, you're exactly the kind of product leader Braintree needs. So let's fast forward to April 2017, and then the official email announcement goes out. Archie Puri, the head of product for Braintree. I was on top of the world. I had the role I wanted at a company I love working for, in a culture that helped people thrive, in a domain that I knew like the back of my hand. It was going to be smooth sailing from here, but it wasn't. I didn't know then that the troubled waters were not in my not-so-distant future. Now, since the beginning of time, well, Braintree time at least, the Braintree product and technology team had been known for its speed, agility, and very thoughtful products. But for the last 18 months or so, the team had been going through challenges. We weren't shipping products fast enough, and the features that we were shipping were missing key capabilities. So obviously, the stakeholders were not happy. There was a storm raging in my mind. On one hand, the team had challenges and needed help. On the other hand, I was now a product leader. I was not in the front lines. I didn't know how to fix a product delivery issue. I was pondering on all of these answers, and we took a road trip to Glass Beach. And then it struck me. As I was admiring all of these beautiful glass pebbles that had been shaped by the sea from behind the scenes over time, it struck me that I didn't have to stop being a product manager. I didn't have to stop building products. The only difference was, this time, my product was going to be my team. I was going to PM the product management team of Braintree. So like any good PM, I went and did the first thing, and that was to get customer feedback. I went and met all of the stakeholders from sales and operations and engineering, and these were really tough conversations. I had to keep reminding myself that feedback is a gift. One of our stakeholders even said that this is a team of C players. Not even A or B, we were all the way down to C. I was just glad that we were not at an F. But at least the feedback was great. Some common patterns emerged. We didn't have enough people. We didn't have enough people with experience. The teams did not have a standard process. And stakeholders had to learn the process with each team that they worked with. And there was no visibility into the work that was going on outside of the team that was working. We did not have great prioritization either. So what did I do? Now, like a PM, I had a product backlog, and my product backlog had two epics in it, people and process. So I started with people. If we were a team of C players, I was going to go and hire the best people for the job. So we revved up our hiring engine, and off we went to hire. We hired someone from MIT. We hired someone with a PhD in quantum computing. We hired someone from Amazon. We hired people who knew payments. We hired people who knew mobile. We hired for all the right people who were Agile experts. What could go wrong? Well, even with a team of superheroes, there can be a fallout with the Civil War. As a little girl in Bombay, I used to really love hearing stories. And every night, as I was going to bed, I would keep begging my mom for like, one more. And my favorite one was this parable about the blind men who had been called upon to examine the elephant, and they had never experienced an elephant before. And at that time, I didn't understand the profoundness of what it was alluding to. But today, I know. Oftentimes, we have partial perspectives, and we project them as the whole truth, ignoring the perspectives of others. Our team was no different. We were battling different perspectives and different emotions. The people who had been with Braintree for a while did not know what their place was. They were grappling with the changes. They weren't feeling great about their work. The people who were coming in with their own experiences of structure and what it means to operate as a PM. They didn't understand our constraints or our culture. The morale was low. People were leaving. And then I knew that just people and process was not going to cut it. I had to go back to the drawing board. I was missing a key ingredient, and that ingredient was mindset. Now, the thing with mindset is it is easier said than done. It's not as though I could stand in front of the team and say, "Dear team, the mindset for today is to be positive." So I had to come up with the right opportunity, but it was right around the corner for me. Luckily, we have an annual Braintree PM Summit. This is the day when all the PMs of Braintree go away together to talk about PM topics. And the best part, this time, as the new head of product for Braintree, it was my honor to kick it off. So I decided to do two things. One, gather the feedback from the team about how they were really feeling, and also establish the North Star of mindset. So as the summit kicked off, we did our annual retrospective, and we realized that the feedback patterns of what the team was seeing was not very dissimilar to what the stakeholders were saying. We also realized one important thing, that it was not enough for one team or one PM to be successful. We needed all of us to be successful and all of us to get to the finishing line. So, and to really be invested in each other's success, you need to really understand each other's constraints first, each other's unique perspectives, and each other's goals. So from that point forward, our North Star became shared context and collective success. And the team put in some measures which are in play even today. One was to establish a bi-monthly all-PM meeting, which was a forum for all of the PMs to come together and nominate topics. of common interest that would allow us to learn together. And the second one was a weekly initiative progress review, which is my favorite meeting. This meeting happens every week on a Friday, 2 hours. We have a rolling calendar of initiatives, and we talk about everything. We talk about features that have launched and how they're doing. We talk about initiatives in execution and any help that they need, challenges that they're facing, new things they are trying out. Sometimes teams come with exciting feedback that they have learned from merchants as a part of discovery, and the things were starting to turn around. So what I knew then was that this mindset was actually going to help us feed back into people and process. So we did go back to people. We still wanted to hire the best people, but this time around, we were looking for the friendly neighborhood superheroes, Spider-Man and Elastigirl. That was our goal. We wanted people who could add to our culture. These were going to be people who knew how to work with ambiguity, who knew that you had to run to trouble, not away from it. Who could work with other people who had the authenticity to admit when things were not going well. And with that, we very thoughtfully kept adding one piece at a time, and the jigsaw came into play. And things were changing. People were interested, ideas were flowing, and the energy was high. And so with that, we checked off the first epic from my list, which was people. We then went to process. This time, I had learned my lessons well. I knew that it wasn't going to be enough for me to tell the team what the process was, so I decided to stop talking and invest in the collective power of the team. So what we did was, we knew the feedback from the PM Summit, and I handed it to the team and said, these are the things that we have to address, and we collectively have to figure out a way. The PMs self-organized themselves into pods. Each pod picked a problem area, came up with recommendations, and their responsibility was to get buy-in from others. And I kid you not, the solutions were brilliant in their simplicity. We were amazed with what each pod came up with, and there was so much energy because people were more invested in wanting to try it out. We knew with that we had addressed some critical things. We established a discovery-driven delivery framework. This was what we were going to use to make sure that we were doing enough research and analysis. We established a swanky new product development framework. This helped us make sure we were balancing our agility with the due diligence that was required for payments. So that meant we had to go to the last element of process, which was prioritization. So this took me back to one of my days in college when I happened to attend a life coaching class of how to craft the life that you want. The life coach described to me a college classroom, not very dissimilar to ours, where the philosophy professor was talking about time management. And so he put a glass jar. So imagine, if you will, there's a giant glass jar here with rocks, pebbles, and sand. The easiest way and the most natural inclination that we have is to fill this jar up with sand, because it's the most efficient. But that is not going to move the needle. The big rocks go in first. That leaves space for the pebbles. And when the pebbles go in, there is enough crevices for the sand to fill it up. And that is what drove our Big Rocks roadmap. We decided that big rocks were going to be initiatives that are the biggest, that need greater coordination between teams, and pebbles would be features that the teams autonomously came up with to improve things. And that Big Rocks roadmap was published every month to our leadership team till date. I see a few of the folks from our teams here. And we track it. It's visible for everyone to go check. Things have improved so much that today, when we were a team of C players, we are now an unstoppable team that delivers close to 90+ initiatives across various stages of our delivery process. And as you can see on the screen, this is all of our initiatives from backlog all the way to adoption and launch. Our stakeholders are our strongest supporters today. And even our GM once remarked that the monthly readout meeting is his favorite meeting to go to see the amazing work that the team has done. Should be smooth sailing from here, right? Well, almost. Well, fast forward to the PM Summit of 2018. We still have the same North Star. We have a few more items on our backlog, a few more elements, but we have the perfect framework now, and as a PM, I know how to manage this backlog. Being a leader, especially a leader of a team in the throes of transformation, in my opinion, is an art and a science. It's a science because you have a lot of skills and a lot of techniques to fall back on. It's an art because you're dealing with people, and people are curious and quirky beings. But if I can do it, I'm sure all of you can. I would urge all of you to look around, look at your teams to find what are the changes and opportunities that you want to go address, and while you're doing that, some of the things that you should remember. Once a PM, you're always going to be a PM. When you are a builder, everything is a product. When in doubt, seek feedback from customers. Figure out what is the right mindset for your team. Once you define the mindset, it will act like a glue that will hold your team together. And once you hold your team together, you will attract the right kind of people who will add to your cultural fabric. These are the people who will come together, rally around to find opportunities, even those that your stakeholders are not telling you about. These are the people who are going to build their process, rally behind it, and champion it. And when you have done all of that, you will have a roadmap with rocks, pebbles, and sand, prioritized ruthlessly like a PM would. You all are good at that. And remember, at the end of the day, you add rocks, pebbles, and sand, you still have room for beer. And with that, my friends, you have the perfect recipe for an amazing transformation to write your own milestones in your own story. Thank you for your time and attention. It's an absolute honor to be here.